The other major story of the day, of course, was AVB's departure at Chelsea. Di Matteo's taken over as caretaker manager. And I'm pleased to say, joining us, the Portmeister himself, Mike Parry, is on the phone. Mike, how are you?
Yeah, hi Chris. Really nice to talk to you, mate. Thanks very much for inviting me onto the show. It's a major, mega story, isn't it, Chris? And of course, you're a Chelsea boy. Did you see it coming, Chris? Because, I mean, I can say from my point of view, I've been a Fleet Street man all my life, and when you looked at the headlines this morning, you know, and I'm just reading a few of them now, you know, The Sun, R.I.P. AVB, The Mirror, finished, you know, AVB's on his way out, The Mail on Sunday, on the brink. It looked as though that, you know, the guys inside the business, Chris, knew that this was going to happen, and it was inevitable.
Yeah, well, I have to say, for me, the performance yesterday at West Brom, regardless of the result, the performance was one from a group of players who weren't playing for the manager, and it was more clear yesterday than I think it's ever been. And I think it would take a very, very optimistic Chelsea fan to have come out of yesterday and think that AVB would still be manager come Monday morning. But I mean, you've been calling it for a little while. I always thought.
Well, listen. Hindsight's a very great thing, Chris. But can I say this to you? You know, being pragmatic and being of an age, you know, I'm you know, hovering around the old sort of 50-year-old age and all that kind of stuff. So I've seen a bit of football over the years. You realise that when you look at a modern manager, a new manager who comes into the game, and AVB came in 33 years of age, and on his first game, it's a draw. Now, he's walking around with a clipboard in his hand, and honestly, I swear to you, on that day, I said, that guy can't survive. You can't walk around with a clipboard. You can't come out of a press conference on day one of being the new Chelsea manager with a draw at Stoke and say, yes, I was very happy with the result of the game today. You know, we're starting here. It doesn't start like that. You know, when Mourinho came in, when the special one came in, it starts with an explosive fury of intent. We're going to go. We're going to do it. This is me putting my flat plan down on how we're going to do it. That never happened with AVB. He always seemed to be in awe of the players who were there, Chris. And I'm probably telling you, you know, what you already know. He always seemed to be reluctant to give his own decisions, his own plan. He always seemed to be in awe of the Premier League. Because, of course, he'd done great things in Portugal, but doing great things in Portugal, with the greatest of respect to the man, is not doing things in England. Yeah,
well, joining us is also Jack Midson, of course, AFC Wimbledon striker, Mike, and we were talking to him earlier about the relationship that AVB had with the players. Tactically is one thing, but he wasn't the sort of manager who would give them the ego boost and you know, put his arm around them and stuff. And Jack, you were saying that's part of the problem, is there's so many leaders in that squad that he didn't really stand a chance.
Yeah, the leaders, and obviously his age as well. I know if you're good enough, then you're old enough, but he wasn't any older than some of the players, and the authority, I don't think he commanded that authority that is needed at Chelsea.
So, Mike, looking forward, who do you think, with your nous in the footballing world, that is a favourite to take over? Then, obviously, Di Matteo's there till the end of the season.
Yeah.
But do you think there's any truth in perhaps Mourinho returning?
Well, what I think is this, Chris. I think that Mr. Abramovich now, who's one of the richest men in the world, is going to make a major decision. He's either got to decide two things. One, I've decided to pull down the bridge. I'm going to rebuild a new stadium somewhere else in London. It might be at Battersea Park, or it might be on the site you're on now. That will coincide with me giving the instruction to the football world that I am going to win for the first time. Therefore, I'll go to Barcelona and get Pepe Guardiola. You have to, because he's the best manager in the world, isn't he? So you have to go for that. If I just talk to Jack there as a player, can I just say this? That I think that AVB was finished, Jack, when Frank Lampard was substituted during the game. Chris, you'll correct me on this. He was either substituted or he wasn't started. And he sat on the substitutes benches with his 2 feet splayed over 2 seats in front of him. And he was almost saying, kind of, OK, go on, take me on, AVB, take me on. Win this game without me. And I think the minute he took on Frank Lampard, I thought it was all over.
Yeah, and the same would be with Terry as well, wouldn't it? You know, as soon as you cross the wrong players at Chelsea, you get turned over.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Once you take on those big guys, now, unless he literally had the assurance of the owner of the club that I can do this, he shouldn't have done it, should he? So did he have the assurance of the owner? Was he given the total backing of the man who, you know, not only runs Chelsea Football Club but owns it? Was he given that backing? And if he wasn't, what was the point of him coming to the club in the first place?
Yeah, they had that meeting recently as well, just before, obviously last week, didn't they? I think Abramovich was in it to clear the air, but I think it was probably to find that out, Mike, find out what was actually happening, you know?
Mike, I think I remember us saying, obviously, in the early days before the season had kicked off, I remember saying it wouldn't surprise me if Villas-Boas and Abramovich had an agreement where this season, OK, we may not win anything, but we will definitely finish in the top 4, we'll get Champions League, and if that happens, you get another season and you can build on it. And I think maybe what's happened is it looks less and less likely at the moment with the resurgent Arsenal and with the way that Chelsea's form is going that we're not going to get Champions League football next season, and they've had to do something to secure that.
Well, I'll tell you what I think, Chris, has been very, very unkind to AVB. What's been very unkind in my view is this. If he came in and was told, you've got to break the monopoly of the top 4 players in this club, and the top 4 players, of course, being Drogba, Ashley Cole, John Terry and Frank Lampard, if he was told, you've got to break, you know, the monopoly of those and do it your own way, well, he tried that, didn't he, a couple of weeks ago. So he dropped 2 of those players. He dropped Ashley Cole, he dropped Frank Lampard. The result was you didn't get a result. What happened after that? We're then reading headlines in which, apparently, AVB was then told, why did you drop those players? Bring them back into the team. So I do feel great sympathy for AVB, but he's a very young man, and he did not know how to handle one of the most powerful men in the world. Because let's not get this wrong, fellas. You know, Roman Abramovich is not just one of the richest men in the world. Wealth and riches brings power, and he's one of the most powerful men in the world. And it looks to me... Go on. I
was going to say, I think part of the problem as well is it would have been easier to have dropped the likes of Ashley Cole, Frank Lampard and Drogba if their form hadn't been there. But I think Frank has had one of his better seasons when he's played. He's looked as good as he has perhaps 2 or 3 seasons ago. And I think it was detrimental to the team just to remove him for the sake of removing him. And I think that's why a lot of faith and belief was suddenly lost, because when Frank wasn't playing, Chelsea weren't playing. And I think it's that, you know, his hands were tied in that respect. But it also seems like an odd command pre-season to get rid of 4 players regardless of how they're playing, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I think definitely.
Chris, I think you're absolutely right there. Jack, sorry mate, just to bring you in here. If you're a player in the dressing room and you suddenly know that a signal's been given that you are actually expendable now, how does that go to you when you're asked to turn out and give your 100% all for the team?
Yeah, well, as a professional, you're going to turn out and give 100%, but someone like, obviously, Lampard, who's been the main figure for Chelsea for so many years, to suddenly have this, you know, just to be subbed for no reason, really. And like you say, it looked as if he'd sort of given up, laying there with his feet up in the air, and I think it's sort of given up, really.
Mike, we have to move on. There's been another goal at Craven Cottage. It's now 3-0 to Fulham, but it's an absolute pleasure to talk to you. Cheers for calling in, Mike. A secret Fulham fan, Mike.
No, I'm not, but it's not bad, is it? Oh, Martin Joel's doing all right, isn't he?
He certainly is, and that Pogrebniak's pretty tasty. I expect him at Everton anytime soon, mate.
OK, well, listen, fellas, thank you very much for inviting me onto the show. It's been great to talk to you on a great afternoon. Thank you very much.
Feelings mutual. Cheers, Mike. See you soon.
Stay ahead of the game with Sports Tonight Live. Don't miss a thing. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Search for Sports Tonight Live on Facebook and like our fan page. Follow Sports Tonight TV on Twitter and tweet us your thoughts and opinions. Sports Tonight Live, it's the platform for the fans.